Hello, welcome to the Villa View. It's the Luke Live Lounge with myself, Dan Bardell, and Tom Julian, who's made me laugh dramatically as we were about to go on air, which wasn't very helpful, but it's happened now. Tom, are you okay?
I'm okay. I'm annoyed by your unprofessionalism. We had a team meeting earlier to get everything sorted for the show. Dan arrives 5 minutes before the show starts. Microphone doesn't work, and then he hasn't done his homework. Absolute joke, to be honest. Apart from that, I'm good. I've got a new Renault Scenic. Well, not a new one. It's an old one.
That's what made me laugh. The most Tom Julian car there could ever be.
Before we get into the Villa View, I wanted to, like, when we arrived in Germany, I was like, right, I'm going to treat myself. My wife's cousin works for Mercedes. Gonna get a nice car. We could get a decent discount on it. And I turn up. They don't take your insurance from England, so it's basically like you're a 17-year-old again, and they wouldn't insure me. So I've gone from a nice Mercedes to a 2008 Renault Scenic in one foul swoop.
Oh, it's making me cry. I actually got tears going down my face of you thinking that you were going to be cool and getting a Mercedes and then having to have a Renault Scenic. Not that there's anything wrong with Renault Scenics if anyone's got one, but that has thrown me before we're about to start.
Rob Henry says, "Oi, don't diss the Scenic," there you go. That's the only Scenic comment I can see.
I've actually got tears going down my face, which is a problem. Probably good preparation for what's about to unfold with the Villa, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Could well be crying come the end of the season, but at least for once on the Luke Live Lounge, we do have something positive to talk about.
Well done in pulling it back. Usually that's my job, but you handled that nicely. Oh, no. Ben Reed says, I've got a Scenic and it's crap. Tell me that, Ben. It's literally 2 hours into my possession.
I just managed to steer us back onto Villa and you've brought it up again. Nice steer, pun. Good pun.
Very good. Very good. Pete Powell says it's a pimp wagon. So
he isn't. Let's talk about Villa. I can almost feel us losing watchers by the second.
It's true. So we can finally talk, Dan, about a win, 2-0 victory, and a convincing one over, it has to be said, not the best Crystal Palace side in the world, but a win is a win. You need the points. We've often talked about how Villa have played well and not got the points. Well, now we've played well and taken the points, and the all-important confidence that we go into Thursday's game with Everton.
Yeah, there's a few different facets from the game on Sunday that will do us some good. The clean sheet, obviously ending a 10-game winless run is quite a big thing. Actually winning a game full stop is a massive thing for Villa because it's something we haven't managed to do much of this season. And it now gives us a chance to get consecutive wins, which again is not something we've done particularly well throughout the season. But it now is we're at the point where we absolutely have to win, because I think if we don't win Thursday, I think quite simply we will get relegated. So Thursday is must win. And talking about Palace, they're not quite there. They're probably waiting for the season to end. Everton are a bit the same. So it's a good chance for us to win and put some pressure on those above us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the key, isn't it? We have to keep up the pressure now. We've waited this long to get our first win. West Ham and Watford slightly quicker off the mark. And we talked after the game, Dan, about how it would just be typical that Bournemouth would go and win straight away after we won. And lo and behold, they go 1-0 down and then put 4 in against Leicester, which just seems ridiculous. I mean, Leicester, to touch on them for a second, have been a completely different side since Maddison left the building. He's been sidelined and Leicester have fallen apart.
Yeah, Leicester have absolutely killed us there, really, haven't they? I saw on my phone that they were losing 1-0. I was like, happy days, great stuff, because we don't need them moving up the table and getting involved. Someone texted me saying that they'd equalised. I went on the Sky Sports app again. Suddenly it was 2-1. Then I turned the telly on, and 2 more goals just came in out of the blue as well. For them to win 4-1, it's the goal difference factor as well. I still think Bournemouth will go. Hopefully Man City will stick some goals past them at the weekend. Obviously, that's a really tough game for them. But for them to go and beat Leicester, who actually have something to play for as well. It's not like Leicester are seeing out the end of the season like Palace and Everton. Leicester could blow Champions League here, whereas they've been pretty comfortable all season, looking like they're going to get top 4, and that could fall out of it completely. So for them to lose 4-1 and defend in a way that I haven't seen them defend all season. I mean, when we play them, they hammer us 4-0. Sorry, not 4-1. They hammer us 4-0. I was watching some of their defending against Bournemouth, and they've not defended like that all season. But of course, in a game that is key for Villa, they decide that's the time to have a go and try those things out.
Absolutely. On Facebook, Daniel George Wilson says, "We are staying up. We are staying up." Chris Dolan reckons a 0-0 on Thursday, which won't be enough, sadly. So, Dan, the homework for us was to have a look at the remaining fixtures, do our predictions, and then work them out against our predictions for the other teams as well. You only managed a quarter of your homework. So we're going to do
a third at least. It's a third.
There's 4 teams: Bournemouth, Villa, Watford, West Ham. You did Villa. That's 25%. That is a quarter.
It's a Villa show, though. Yeah, no one cares about the other team. It's Villa predictions. I don't want to predict Villa's results and then go and do everyone else's and then just think, oh, we're going to stay up. I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to concentrate on Villa, and then what will be, will be.
That sounds like you misread the question and you've just tried to get yourself out on a PR.
No. Adam knows. Adam will back me up. I was quite specific in what I said.
All right, but you still didn't read the instructions properly. So
I just do what you wanted me to do, but I did read the instructions.
Well, all right, let's see then. So now I have no idea what the graphics are going to be. You and I don't know each other's predictions. So let's go through it. Oh, look at that. That is very nice. So this is the prediction for Thursday's game against Everton away. I've gone for a 2-0 win. You, Dan, have gone for a 2-1 win. Both of us going for a win. That's a good start.
Well, it's because we have to. I mean, I think 2 clean sheets in a row is very ambitious from you. That's a very, very ambitious prediction. But I think I did an Everton podcast earlier today, and I said, if Everton score first, you worry for us. You always worry for Villa when they go behind. But if we can get ourselves ahead, which I'm obviously envisaging that we might do on Thursday, I think we can then go on and score another. And then obviously it wouldn't be Villa saying out a game comfortably twice in a row. So I'm predicting that Everton might score in the last 15 minutes. And we're hanging on a bit. But the general feeling from the Everton camp from doing that Everton podcast today was that they are not in a good place. They just want the season to end. And it sounded very similar to the Crystal Palace. And they've got a couple of weak links in their side. I think they can be got at. He was talking like their midfield was atrocious, and I feel that's an area where we can be quite strong, and we were quite strong against Palace. I think the keeper's dodgy. I mean, it's terrible to come on and say that because he'll probably go on to have a world now, but I really think Pickford's on a bit of a low ebb in his career at the moment. He's so inconsistent. Every time I watch Everton, he seems to be trying to chuck the ball in the back of his net. So hopefully he'll do that on Thursday as well. But yeah, good to see that we both predicted us to win. If we were to be doing predictions this time last week, I really feel that would not have happened.
No, absolutely not. Tom Cowley's also gone for a 2-1 victory for Villa. Hip to the game has gone 1-0. Remember, you can get your comments, your predictions in the comments, whether you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube. I can see them coming through, so that's quite nice. Davortex 1-0 to the Villa will be a horrid game, and we'll get a scrappy goal. Neil Gilder 1-0 to the Villa. So a few people going for a Villa clean sheet. That's more a reflection on the Everton strike force, I would say, and their general all-round play than Villa's back four. But I did think we looked a little bit more organised with Konsa at centre-back and yes, Elmo at right-back as well. So there is hope there. All right, let's move on then to the next game, the big one, Arsenal. And what have you gone for here, Dan? You have gone for... What did I go for?
You've gone for 1-0 to Arsenal, Tom.
Oh, yeah. I've gone for 1-0 to Arsenal. There, I had to move my comments for a second. I've gone for a 1-0 to Arsenal. And this is kind of because I felt like things were going too well. I originally did have 1-1, and I was like, no, surely we can't go undefeated in this final stretch. It has to go to the last game. Really,
I think we're going to have to, Tom. We're going to have to go undefeated.
Not with my predictions. I predicted across the board West Ham, Watford, and Bournemouth as well. And the way I worked it out was we finished a point ahead of West Ham and Watford. But yeah, I'm going for a 1-0 loss, a tough game, and we're just gonna lose. You've gone for a 1-1 draw, a little bit more optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, you hadn't mentioned that you'd done it all the other teams as well, so it's good to know that you did that because I wasn't sure that you'd filled the brief fully. Basically, I'm trying a new technique in the show tonight. I've been quite miserable since the Villa View came back, so I'm trying to come in with a bit more positivity and seeing if that pays dividends for us. Usually my predictions are way off for games. I've never been good at calling the scores. I might have a couple in a row through the season, but in general, I'm pretty rubbish, so it's probably good not to pay attention to what I'm saying. I don't remember you being particularly great at it either, so it's worth probably knowing that people watching This is completely an irrelevant segment, really, isn't it?
Well, it's never irrelevant. It's all a bit of fun. Who knows what's going to happen? Mighty Villain says 0-0 for Arsenal. Hip to the Game says 2-0 Arsenal, and they send us down. Alan Bale's more confident. We will beat Arsenal as well, 2-1. Holly Jennings, I think there's a stronger chance of us beating Arsenal over Everton, to be honest. And Jack Mobley says Jack is due a good game, a big game.
He's due a goal.
He's due a goal. George Burley talking in today's papers about how Arsenal might be a good fit for Jack. We can talk about that a little bit later. Stephen Mace to finish on a positive one, 3-2 Arsenal. So there you go.
George Burley, that's a throwback to 2001 there. And George Burley, with the press desperately seeking him out for his opinion on Jack Grealish.
He's picking up a payday from somewhere. Yeah, it's like the Ayrshire Free Press or something like that. I don't know. No, I don't know where it's come from. All right, so difference of an opinion there, and then it goes into the all-important, the last game of the season against West Ham. Dan, I've gone for a 2-0 win. You've gone for a 2-1 win. So the kind of mirroring the Everton results there. And I think the only answer here is to be positive, isn't it? To give ourselves a chance and play like our Premier League lives depend on it, which we haven't seen much of until the last game.
Yeah, I think when I do the Athletic, I'm a little bit more serious in my calls and my predictions, and I'm coming on the Villa View and doing predictions like I've had 10 beers before I've done them. I just think that we absolutely we have to probably win 3 out of 4. So I'm not going to come on air and predict us to get relegated. So I feel like I've been forced to go 3 from 4. I mean, if we go unbeaten in the last 4 games, considering how the season's been, that would be unbelievable. But there's a time when West Brom were bottom of the Premier League at Christmas. They suddenly just won a few games towards the end. I think Leicester won a few games the season before they won the league as well. So it does happen. So for us to stay up, that kind of miracle does have to happen.
Villains Together says a 2-0 win. McGinn and Elmo to score. Tyler Smith saying 2-2. Mighty Villain 1-0 to the Villa and Grealish. Wouldn't that be some story? Benjamin Asker 2-1 Villa. Against West Ham, it'll be a scrappy game. Stephen Mace 3-1 Villa. The confidence. I mean, one win has really changed the mood. Certainly in our comment section, Dan, because like you said before the Palace game, I don't think we'd have been getting anywhere near this positivity. I don't think we could have even done this section because it would have been such doldrums. So whatever happens, it's kind of nice to at least be feeling a bit more positive about things going into Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, I've taken little joy from the Villa View coming back in general since we've come back, because it's all well and good. I enjoy speaking to you. It's good to see you a couple of times a week, because obviously you've moved away. But talking about your team losing every week and not playing well is pretty miserable. So for once so far, we get to be a little bit giddy and talk about Villa winning. I think obviously you can tell by the predictions we've got a little bit overexcited, but if you can't enjoy it, I suppose what's the point? But don't quote me on that, because I'll probably be saying something different this time next week. Yeah.
Ultimately, you've got to try and enjoy it. Sometimes Villa makes it very hard to do that. So I guess the other key game, Dan, that's upcoming. Obviously, all the key games from the teams are around us, but Watford and West Ham meet on Friday night. What's the optimal result for that?
I haven't got a clue. I don't know. I don't think any result there can be perceived as a bad one, really.
Right.
Because if West Ham lose, it could be that it plays it more into our own hands, and that we go down the last day and a positive result will keep us up. I quite like the thought of that scenario, although obviously when Villa have cup finals, generally it doesn't go very well for us. But if West Ham win, then Watford stay down there, and we potentially win one of our games, and we're potentially a point off them come the last day of the season. So I kind of feel like there isn't a bad result there. It'd be interesting to see what the fans think in the comments, because I don't really think there's a bad result for us there on Friday. But it all rests on Thursday. If we lose on Thursday, it's pretty much irrelevant.
Yeah, that's totally true. I've gone for, because I did the homework properly. I went for a draw there, but like you say, I guess if you want it to be a cup final, I guess you're wanting Watford to win and us to drag West Ham back into it. But the way I worked it out with the other results going. But a 1-1 draw seemed to work all right. A 2-2 draw would equally be fine. But
just a draw. Draw will be okay.
That's the way I see it, just in terms of the other teams playing around there. So, but ultimately,
just out of interest, sorry, I'm not sure if you did the homework fully or not, but can you just tell me who you had the 3 to go down?
Yes, I can. So the
Remember?
final table, I had Bournemouth in 90. Obviously, Norwich bottom. I had Bournemouth finishing with 32 points in 19th, and then Watford 35 points, but a worse goal difference than West Ham. So they go down on goal difference.
Where are we? 16th?
Yeah, by a point.
Nice. Lovely. Fair to say I agree with your assessment that Norwich will come last. I definitely agree with that one.
And Bournemouth surely 19th if we're going to make any hash of it. It's either us or Bournemouth, isn't it?
I've got kind of a little bit of a bad feeling about Bournemouth because we'd all kind of discounted them a little bit, and then they go and pick up a couple of results, and it kind of felt like no one was really thinking about them. But now they've obviously got that point advantage on us. But I'm presuming they haven't got the best fixtures because you've only got them down to get a point across the next 3 games. I know they've got City at the weekend or whenever the next round is.
I can tell
games for them. Yeah,
they've got City and then Southampton, and Southampton are playing a decent, and then Everton last game of the season. So I've got them getting a draw at Everton.
So I don't like the sound of that last game, Bournemouth Everton. That doesn't sit well with me, to coin an old phrase.
Yeah, but I kind of hope by that point that, if they win that game, that would only take them to 34 points anyway.
True.
So they'd still be in 19th if everything else works out.
We'll have won every game by then, so we'll be okay.
Exactly. It's plain sailing from here, said no Villa fan ever.
Can you just imagine that last day? I don't like the playoff final. I remember both those playoff finals feeling absolutely horrific, but at least you're at the game. It's worse when you're not at the game, I find. The stress levels are worse for me watching it on telly. I don't know why. I don't know whether you feel the same. When you're at a game, you feel like you can let off your frustration a little bit more and let out your emotion. At home, it doesn't feel the same. And I'm sat there watching on my own with the rabbits, essentially. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I can affect it when I'm at the game, but feeling so horrific in those playoff finals, I dread to think how we're at, because we've never had a last day where you need to win to stay up, really. There was a kind of one in 94, 95, but I was too young to understand it at that point. But do you know what I mean? A proper, if you win, you stay up. If you lose, you go down. And you're playing a team that could potentially be in the mix as well. It could, be one of the most horrid watches ever as a Villa fan, and there's been a few.
Yeah, all about the beard says I couldn't watch it if it comes down to the last day. I think you do have to be fair. I think coming back to your original question, it's probably the reverse for me because I'm less used to going to the game. So that's, I guess, a less familiar, if you like. But the kind of environment and the atmosphere and the tension with 40,000 people sitting there, that kind of gets to me, and I feel more nervous being there and sitting there. But watching on TV, I guess I feel like that distance a little bit maybe takes it away. Having said that, I probably haven't been to, I've never been a season ticket holder. I probably haven't been to that many games where, nothing as big as a potential last day.
You've been to playoff finals. They're big.
I've been to the playoff finals, yeah, which is true. But I felt more confident in both of those. It felt like not the Fulham game, I suppose, but that was on the way up. I feel like going down is more serious. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm making any kind of point here.
No, but I know what you mean.
Certainly with the Derby game, in good spirits and been to the Box Park, so you're feeling all right. But the idea of it being a win or bust, kind of, quite literally game sometimes it's just terrifying, really. And I understand why All About the Beard says he'll struggle to watch it. It'll just be super eerie with no crowd there to affect it.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like the way it should be done. Obviously, it's not the right way, but it has to be. It's going to be a real stomach churning afternoon if that is the way. But I'd rather be there than already be down.
Because we went down with such a whimper last time on 17 points, I think it was, and there was just no battle at any point or any thought in my mind that we would ever stay up, or I'm sure in any of the players or anyone associated with Aston Villa's mind that we were going to stay up that season. The way this was kind of drifting post-lockdown as well, I was kind of just thinking, oh, well, we're going to be down before the last day of the season. But the worst thing about being a football fan and a Villa fan is that it's just the hope. So you win a game now and it's unavoidable. Because I've been writing everything off, but now because we've won, it's unavoidable in your head where you start to think, oh, we could do it, couldn't we? Maybe we will, just maybe. And it is that hope ultimately that kills you.
Yeah, I think you have to let yourself believe a little bit, otherwise it doesn't stay fun for very long. Colin Curry, representing the Bedford Lions, says Everton 0, Villa 1. Believe, guys. UTV. Dolan says let's be in with a chance first before this last day of the season talk. I mean, it's all part of it. It's, you know, you have to, like you say, you get carried away a little bit. You talk about things that are not within your control, and that's part of it. And as Chris Coleman says, not that Chris Coleman, it's the hope that kills you.
But even the grumpiest man in football, Chris Dolan, you can tell by his tone on that comment. Even though he's being negative,
there's a
tinge of positivity from him. Now, the amount of times he's texted me saying, I don't care anymore, I don't care, and I was saying the same, to be fair, thinking that we're just going, but it's the hope, and even he's got a little bit of that hope now.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're just joining us, you are watching the Luke Live Lounge in association with Luke 1977. Make sure, if you are doing any shopping at luke1977.com, you use our discount code TVV20. That's for 20% off almost everything. That includes sale items. There's a couple of decent sales on right now. So make sure you use the TVV20 code for 20% off. Supports us, supports them, helps us to put on this kind of content. So if you like it, make sure you use the code. And also, if you aren't subscribed and you've been watching all of these, make sure you hit the subscribe button on Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube, of course. All right, Dan, then we've been told to focus on Thursday, so let's have a look at the team a little bit. A couple of injury concerns, potentially is the wrong word, maybe opportunities for other players. We saw Ezri Konsa move into the central defensive role, and El Mohammadi come and play right back against Crystal Palace. And then the other one, obviously in the defence, was Neil Taylor coming off for Matty Targett with a hamstring pull. Do you anticipate that the back four stays the way it finished for Thursday?
I'd hope so. I mean, there's obviously will be a reason why when he came back from lockdown, Courtney Hawes was playing right centre back and wings. They'll have worked on something, and I don't know what the reason is, but there will be a reason for it. So I'm not insulting anyone's intelligence there. Just accept that that's what they've decided to do. That's what they thought was for the best. But playing against Palace on Sunday, it just allowed us to move a little bit quicker, and it allowed us to play with a bit more purpose, having Konsa a right footer at right centre back and having Elmo at right back as well. It just enabled us to move the ball a little bit quicker, and where you can break the lines a little bit quicker. Because to be fair, Rainer in goal, that's what he likes to do. He likes to try and break the lines a little bit quicker than perhaps any other goalkeeper, because he's got good distribution. So it felt more comfortable. You know, when Hawes gets the ball, he can't play a quick pass ever because he's got to get it on his left foot, because he doesn't like using his right foot, and it just slows us down, and then the opportunity to move quickly is gone. So it just suits us more having Konsa there, I think, and you stick with that back four now to the end of the season with Targett's fit again. Slight worry that Neil Taylor's injured, because Targett hasn't got the best fitness record himself. I've lost count of the number of times through the season he's gone down with an injury in the first half of a game. So then suddenly, if we haven't got either of them, and Hawes has got an injury as well, who's playing left back? I would guess Gilbert would come in at left back. I think he played one of the cup games earlier on in the season there when he came on as a sub. But then you've got that same problem of being unbalanced again. I liked the balance of the side on Sunday with Connor in the midfield as well. It just looked more balanced, and we looked more comfortable. And I'm probably a bit guilty of not giving Trezeguet enough credit on Sunday, because I think he's been poor since we came back from lockdown, and generally poor from the season. But actually, if you look at his numbers are pretty good now, and that they stack up against a fair few wingers who you perceive as being good wingers in the Premier League. So the work rate's never been in doubt, and hopefully now he'll be buzzing for Thursday as well, and that's giving him a little bit of confidence.
Yeah, well, Neil Taylor is being assessed on Wednesday, so tomorrow. So I guess we'll know more about that then. Mighty Villain says definitely keep the same back four. Devortex HD would like to see the same back four that finished the game would be the best choice if everyone is fit. Holly Jennings says, am I mad for wanting Neil Taylor in the first half and then Target to come on, I guess, and give us a little bit more attacking impetus? What do you think about that? Or do you just keep the same back four, don't mess around with the defence?
I think you leave it the same. I mean, you might be able to tell that I haven't plugged my laptop in, so I'm just doing that now as well. That issue is now solved.
You are really the I don't know, the failing side of this podcast. I get a lot of stick and always get called out for it, but you haven't done the homework.
I'm an absolute maverick. Sometimes you got to give the star player a little bit of leeway. You got to give him a bit of freedom, and that's what I'm doing.
Very questionable.
I knew you'd like that one. There's nothing wrong with Neil Taylor, but this next game, Everton must win. That's a Target game for me, and it's an Elmo game as well. Elmo's we haven't got an in between Target and Taylor. I look at Elmo as being an in between Conser and Gilbert. Because Conser's the best defensively. I think Gilbert's the best going forward with his pace. Elmo sits somewhere in the middle for me. So I think Elmo's the best option, and he'll always swing in a couple of crosses. I don't think you change that back four now till the end of the season that finished the game. Engels is obviously still injured, I think, and we've not seen anything from him at all. I don't know what's up with him. I know he's got an injury, but I don't know the severity of it. But you think after missing 6 or 7 games now, it's pretty bad, and we won't see him again this season. So I think Conser and Mings is a decent partnership. I think Conser's got a lot of potential. I think he'll still do things wrong. But I think there's a good athleticism between the two of them at centre-back. And again, there's that right foot, left foot thing. So I'm quite comfortable with that back four going into the end of the season. As I said, when Hawes is picking up the ball, it's not his fault, but I just don't feel comfortable with the left footer at right centre-back.
I actually think Taylor's been one of our better players after the restart. He's played the last 3 and looked very solid, offered a little bit more going forward, but just felt more comfortable. Carl Barker says, I'd like to see Taylor in. He's been solid. Mark Iwobi and Calvert-Lewin could be massive problems. Would rather see Taylor in to start, so maybe a bit more defensively. Moving up into the midfield then, Dan, again, would you just play the same midfield 3 or 5 or however you want to work it?
I think whatever anyone says, Jack's best games this season have been on the left.
Yeah,
I think that's where he's caused problem. He's managed to get a little bit of freedom there, so I don't think you change that. Plus, I think when you play Trezeguet and El Ghazi, we just don't look dangerous with them both playing, in my opinion, and we haven't got a goal scorer at the club. So obviously, whoever you play up front at the moment, they're not looking like they're going to score goals. Again, I just like the balance of that midfield. Luiz, earlier on in the season when he was playing as the deepest line midfielder, concerned me because I think his defensive positioning was very, very questionable. But since lockdown, it's the complete opposite. I have full confidence in him. I think he looks absolutely brilliant. He always finds himself in the right position. His distribution's good. He wants to play quickly. He wants to play on the front foot, and he has completely gone turned around in my opinion, because I now think he's great. Whereas before Christmas, I didn't think that at all. I didn't see what other people were seeing, rightly and wrongly. Nakamba, I don't really get what he offers, because we still look like we're going to ship goals when he plays, and he's probably the most orthodox defensive midfielder at the club. I don't know where Drinkwater is. I don't think he's going to play for Villa again. I'm led to believe he's gone back, or he's got an injury, but God knows what's going on there. So if you're playing Jack on the left, it's Mcginn and Connor. And whether you rate Connor or whether you don't, and obviously we're two people that rate him highly, you can't deny that when he's on the pitch, we've looked better this season, and he's a weapon from set pieces. The way he looks after the ball is very underrated as well. I think a lot of people take that for granted, and he also allows Jack to have more freedom to come inside on the left, because Connor will quite often go on the overlap. So for me, you don't change that midfield. Mcginn and Connor in front of Luiz, Jack on the left. I reckon most of our wins, I don't know off the top of my head, but I reckon most of our wins have come with that system. So I'd be going with that.
Well, I mean, like you say, we don't score an awful lot of goals, but most of our goals must have involved Conor Harahan at some point. And therefore, like you say, whether you like him or not in the rest of his game, the thing that we're desperately in need of is goals. And he elevates our chances to score more. So to me,
Yeah.
he's a shoo-in right now.
Usually when he leaves the pitch, he's either got a goal or an assist at the end of a game, whether he's come on a sub or whether he started the game. You know he's good for a goal or an assist. In the Newcastle game, the second game after lockdown, I think it was, we're not looking like we're going to score. He comes on, puts in a decent corner, and we get a goal from it. I think at one point, I think this was last week, up until last week, I don't know whether it's still the case, he had the most key passes in the Premier League since lockdown. So people that say he doesn't offer anything, I just don't see that. I don't get where people are getting that from. But it's my opinion, of football subjective, and you see what you see, and everyone engages their opinion from that. But Aston Villa are a better team with Conor Hourihane on the pitch. I don't see how that can be disputed.
Yeah, Dean Averis, 100% agree with the midfield there. Interstellar Dweller had a comment and it's just disappeared from me. Louise has really started showing what a baller he is. First name on the team sheet.
Been great.
Yeah. So I think the midfield picks itself, like you say. All right, then the conversation then turns to up front, and this is where the debate continues. Would you start Samatta or Davis? What's your choice?
I think on Thursday, I think he'll probably start Samatta again. I think he'll try and have as little disruption as possible. But I'd probably go for Davis. If we're a bit more confident, we're having a little bit more of the ball. I just think his hold-up play is better. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't look like either of them are going to score. But I think if you've got two of them there who aren't going to score, I just think Davis is offering that little bit more at the moment. And I kind of feel like Everton are quite weak in central defence. Mina's a big boy, but he's out. So I think that leaves them with Holgate and Keane. And I feel like they're two defenders that Davis could really disrupt. We've seen glimpses of him causing centre-backs problems when football came back. Sheffield United back line looked really ruffled by him. And that's a back line that doesn't ruffle easily. So I just think a team with a weak mindset like I think Everton have, I'd play Davis.
Jamie Canning says, you just know Smith will play a different team to the one that played the majority of the Palace game. Dan Lane, start Davis because he's a similar style to Wesley, who played well last time against Everton. Wayne Davis, Samatta, start Davis. Samatta, start Davis, come on second half. I needed some grammar in there, Wayne. Bill Hupp, Davis all day. So I mean, you can't pick one. There's too much difference of opinion here. To me, I just feel for Davis. I think we were texting Dan during the game, and he's inches away from the finished product, really. I mean, and I mean that in a negative way, kind of. You know, he's just not got that kind of final touch. I think it was on Sunday he slid across. It was him and Trezeguet both slid across a cross that came in, and neither could get on the end of it. And there's just been a few chances where the chances have come, and Davis just hasn't been able to convert, which is just frustrating because his hold-up play is brilliant, his control, his movement is really good, but he just doesn't have that killer instinct, certainly not right now, to be a Premier League striker.
No, I mean, if you look back to that season, I remember me and you were at Loftus Road and we played QPR and we won 2-1. Adoma scored a couple of goals, but Davis was a handful that day. Mm-hmm. But he was never prolific in the Championship. So he's never going to come into the Premier League and start smashing the goals in. It'd be interesting to see him score, because if he did score, God knows what type. I don't even know what type of goal it would be. Mm. If he was to score, you don't see him as being that ruthless one going through one on one and scoring. I guess it would probably be a header. I would guess if he was going to score a goal. That's the only goal I can remember him scoring for us in the league. I think it was Barnsley away in 2017. He scored a header. So he's never been prolific. But you do wonder if he got one, the amount of good that could do him, and whether he would start to look more of a threat in front of goal if he could just score. Because, again, you hear about on the training ground, apparently before football came back, he was absolutely banging him in training. But I suppose it's training. It's a very, very different thing to a match day. Samatta's confidence looks like it's on the floor to me at the moment. I thought he had a bit about him when he first came. Again, I was with you at the Tottenham game at Villa Park, and in the first half, his link-up play was really good. And Villa looked good, to be fair, against Spurs in that first half, and then, as usual, it all fell apart in the second half. But I've not seen that from Samatta since we've come back, and he just looks like his confidence is on the floor. So if I had to pick a striker for me, I'd just pick Davis, because I think his overall team play is better, because neither of them are going to look like they're going to smash the goals in.
Yeah, I think I'm inclined to agree with you. You've won me over. I mean, I like Davis. You don't need to win me over too much, but I think, like you said, just haven't seen enough of Samatta especially after lockdown, to really to have him really cement his place in the team. And Davis can be a handful, and hopefully, bring Trezeguet, bring Grealish, bring Harahan into the game, and hopefully we'll be a little bit dangerous. I wonder what our set pieces plan will be, because it's felt like ever since restart, all we've wanted to do was hit Courtney Hawes on the set pieces, and he hasn't really been able to do anything apart from that Chelsea goal, which was a bit of a scramble. I'm kind of hoping that we have quite a big team and a decent heading options. Hopefully we can think about something a bit more creative with our set pieces too, especially with Harahan on the pitch.
Yeah, and Everton, certainly under Marco Silva before he departed, set pieces were a real problem for them, and they're not the biggest side in the world if Mina doesn't play, because Holgate's under 6 foot, I think, playing at centre back, and I don't think Michael Keane's the biggest either. Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison are decent in the air, but obviously that's probably more the other way. So I think set pieces is an avenue to hurt Everton, and as I say, Pickford, erratic. Again, you feel you can, if you put a ball underneath him, he might come and flap at it and make a mistake. So set pieces are going to be a real key avenue on Thursday at Goodison Park for me. Yeah.
One thing about the squad I read earlier was that, did you see that John McGinn had a stress fracture in his shin? Did you hear this?
Yeah, but before he came back, he got injured again.
Before he came back, I didn't realise that he was out for another 6 weeks. We were obviously due to play Chelsea before everything happened with lockdown, and just before that game, John McGinn, they diagnosed a stress fracture, so he hadn't trained again for 6 weeks. That kind of explains to me why he looks so off the pace still, because he's missed that extra 6 weeks, which would have been so useful for him in that lockdown time. He hasn't had that either, so that kind of makes sense to me. I'm really hoping that we can see the best of McGinn before the season's out.
Yeah, and this is where I'm going to throw one of my mates under the bus. See where Asthmagate came from, obviously. Because every day when football training had resumed again, Aston Radford was texting me. So McGinn must have asthma. He must have asthma. He's not on any of the training pictures. He must have asthma. Obviously, he was just injured, and Villa didn't disclose it, which is probably sensible not to disclose an injury that you've got to a key player who's coming back. So just shows you how much the rumour mill and things go around. But shouldn't have rushed him back, really, because he hasn't done himself justice. He looks like he's finally starting to get there a little bit now. We've seen a couple of those, what I call bum turns. Not the best name for it. A few of his bum turns have come in the last few games, whereas we hadn't seen the McGinn that we've all grown to know and love, have we? And it's obviously a fitness issue, but I suppose the only way to get fit is to just play, and it's not like we're blessed with loads of excellent options in his place. Picking a first 11 for Villa, it's pretty easy, bar maybe one or two places. I think most people would probably agree on the best 11, and we just don't have the options, do we?
A few people in the comments saying McGinn getting better each week and showed his old self against Palace, which I think is true to an extent, but I still think he's got another level to go down, and I think he could be. I said it even before lockdown, after the League Cup final, that McGinn was our last throw of the dice, really, to have that another injection. I still harbour that hope that we might see the best of him before the season is out.
Well, he's a top class player, and he's a Premier League player undoubtedly, which I don't think you can say that about everyone in our squad. If you think back to the start of the season, he scored 3 goals in the first 7 or 8 games.
Yeah,
perhaps, hadn't he? He was doing really well, and I think he was one of those players that neutral fans were really liking. He's just naturally someone that you look at and you like him. Yeah. John McGinn. I don't care who you support. I think most people will like John McGinn. But if you remember, just before his bad injury, he'd been playing with a knock, and people he wasn't quite at his best. So we haven't actually seen McGinn's best for a long time now. So we need it back, and that's probably been one of the major players in us having a bad season, is the amount of time we've missed a fully fit McGinn. Because I think people forget before Christmas that he was going a bit quiet in games because he wasn't fit. We were still playing him because we need him, and we haven't seen probably the true John McGinn since maybe October. That's a hell of a long time to be without your player of the year of last season, and someone who is undoubtedly a Premier League player. So I think people overlook that and forget it. We need him back firing fuller. Holly
Jennings says, forget the Cruyff turn. It's the McGinn bum turn.
The McGinn bum.
And Mighty Villain says you could see Zaha in the Palace game saying he keeps sticking his bum out. So maybe you're onto something there. The McGinn bum turn. Maybe that needs to be the next banner at Villa Park.
Yeah, everyone loves the McGinn bum turn.
All right. Captain Jack Grealish. There's been a lot of speculation about his future when this current season ends. One thing I wanted to chat quickly with you, Dan, was how is that transfer market changing? It feels to me like Manchester United, since the restart, have found a bit more of a rhythm with the current team they've got. Obviously, Fernandes being a wonderful fit there, and Pogba, we're starting to see the best of him again. Obviously, the George Burley comments saying that he might be a fit for Arsenal or for Spurs, Manchester City potentially another option. Do you think the market is changing for Grealish, or do you think Manchester United is still the front runner?
I hope you've got Craig Burley's thoughts as well. We need to know what the Burley family are thinking of this transfer, Tom. It's difficult to know. I feel like he's going to one of the Manchester clubs in the summer, regardless. That's how I feel about the situation. You look at the Man U 11 that's played since lockdown, there isn't really a natural place for him in that side. If you think of the three playing behind Martial now, it's Rashford on the left, Greenwood on the right, and Fernandes, who is a top-class player, despite his antics at Villa Park, playing as the number 10 behind Martial. There isn't really a natural fit for Jack because he ain't going to play in the two behind instead of Pogba or Matic. Matic is their enforcer, and Pogba's, I don't think, is his best position, but he's doing well there at the moment. It now looks like he's going to stay. So you kind of feel like the Man U stuff was when Pogba was going to be leaving and perhaps he was going to be a replacement for him. More, not so much the monetary side of the transfer landscape, whether that COVID's affected that now. The 9 subs thing's been extended. So the bigger teams are going to have bigger squads. They're going to be able to keep more players happy. And I'm not saying for 1 minute Jack would be happy to go to Man United and sit on a bench, because I know he wouldn't be happy with that. But they're going to be able to have more big name players, the big teams now. So I don't know. I really don't know, because as I said, I don't see a natural fit for him at Man U in the first 11 now. But I think wherever he goes, he'll shine and he'll go on and he'll play for England, and that's the big thing for him. But I wouldn't rule out City, and I probably wouldn't rule out abroad either. All right. For Jack, I think he's that good that I think one of the real big boys could come in for him as well. So I don't know. I just don't think he'll be at Villa next season, which is sad. It deeply saddens me, but that's just where we're at. We're light years away from what Jack Grealish needs. Yeah.
Martin Sydenham says Jack working under Pep. Wow.
Yeah.
Craig Taylor Broad, can't see where Grealish would fit in for Manchester United. Man City, Leicester or Chelsea, or could potentially work for Arsenal or Spurs, but doubt either would pay up for what we want for him. Mark Jarobi, could you imagine Kevin De Bruyne and Grealish playing together? Madness. So yeah, a few different options for the young man. I mean, I'd forgotten he was only 24. You know, it's not super young in today's footballing world, but it's still pretty young. You know, he's still got another 10, 12 years to play.
Yeah, some of those teams mentioned, I don't see him going there. Lampard's a massive fan of Mount. I think Jack's twice the player of Mount, if I'm being perfectly honest. But I think Lampard likes Mount. So they've got Barkley as well. They've already spent a little bit of money on Werner and the guy from Ajax whose name's completely escaped me. So I don't see Chelsea going in for him. Leicester, maybe if they got Champions League, there's a space for him there. But his good friend Maddison plays there, and they're obviously two people that are vying for the same position for England. Liverpool, I wouldn't rule out, but then they're not going to spend money apparently. So right. I actually think Liverpool's where he probably fits in the best. I think in their midfield three, they're missing someone like him in there. They're all quite workman-like, and it works for Liverpool in that Liverpool midfield three. But I think people underestimate how hard Jack actually works. And again, people are saying about him working under Pep. Imagine him working under Klopp as well. That could be absolutely frightening. But it's not great sitting here selling off Villa's best players and talking about what team he's going to go to. But I simply think I'm being realistic, and that's where we're at.
Yeah, Dan Lane says Borussia Dortmund would be tasty. And that, I mean, if he's got to
Bellingham's
go anywhere,
gone there though, isn't he? Bellingham.
It's not confirmed yet, though, is it?
Has he not gone through?
I don't think so. But yeah, watch this space. Who knows? But
I mean, it's horrible. It's horrible that we even have to talk about it, and it's horrible that you're thinking about Villa's best player, probably arguably one of the best players Villa have ever produced, going on elsewhere. It'd be great if Villa were good enough to keep him, but we're nowhere near it and we've made a mess of the summer and showing that we were going in the right direction and stuff. So we've blown that as far as I'm concerned, and that's our fault.
You are correct, sir. You are watching the Luke Live Lounge in association with Luke 1977. Before we give away some more of the Dapper Villain range, there are a couple of points to get to. The first is that Hull City are losing 8-0 to Wigan. Wigan were 7-0 up. Hull, the best thing is Hull just got a penalty and then it was overturned. Oh, cruel. And yeah, so that's a funny little nugget.
Not if you're a Hull fan, it's not.
Well, no, it's not. But sometimes you've got to laugh, haven't you? Otherwise, you cry. And have you read all this Wigan stuff? We won't get into it now. But have you heard the kind of the conspiracy theories, which might just be true about the Wigan ownership? It's absolutely crazy. We don't have time to get into it now because it's long and complicated. But if you're interested in the politics and the ownership of football and the terrible kind of fit and proper persons test that the EFL use, then check out the Wigan storylines, because it's absolutely awful. And I do feel for Wigan fans in that scenario. Absolutely dreadful. We know what it's like, Dan, to be owned in a chaotic and cowboy fashion.
It's not affected them too badly tonight, though.
No, they seem to be okay.
They've got over it, haven't they?
Yeah, well, we'll see. The last thing I wanted to talk about, Dan, Villa related, was our old friend Stilian Petrov has passed his UEFA Pro license now. So he not only his masters in sport management, but also his pro license. And when we spoke to him a couple of years ago now,
year ago,
was it only a year ago, man?
Yeah.
It was crazily long ago. He was talking about the potential of being a sporting director, and that's the kind of route that he wanted to go down. So all of the kind of educational opportunities are fit into place for Stan, and maybe there's an opportunity as a sporting director at Villa Park next season.
I mean, he wouldn't be the worst one we've ever had, would he? Already,
No.
You could pretty much guarantee that. I don't think he'll come in as a sport director at Villa. It sounds like behind the scenes he's been rejected from various things at Villa over the years. Anyway, a few times, not always treated with the respect he deserves, Stilian. So that's disappointing. As I say, for a club that's supposed to have a bit of class, sometimes we just get it completely wrong, and that's happened on a few occasions under different ownerships. So that's a story for another day. Whatever he does, he'll be very good at it. We spent a bit of time with him. He's an inspiring man. He's someone who I'm very fond of, and someone who I want to see do well in what he does next. So he's done a lot, hasn't he? Because he's done all his badges as well. So he could literally turn up at a football club and do anything. I mean, it's interesting that I don't know how many people know this, but Thomas Hitzelsberger's chief executive of a team in the Bundesliga now, because Stuttgart have been promoted. He's overseen a turnaround there. They weren't guaranteed promotion. He changed the manager, and they managed to get themselves up into the Bundesliga. So there's not many in the mould of people like Hitzelsberger or Petrov who are intelligent enough to work in multiple roles at a football club. I just hope he goes on and gets the right job and does well, because, as I say, he's someone I've got a lot of love for. Yeah,
if you're new to the Villa View, make sure you check out our interview with Stilian Petrov. We had about I think it was scheduled to have an hour or so with him, and he ended up sitting down with us for 1 hour, 45 minutes, something like that. And literally, I don't think we broke the edit, because he just talked so honestly and openly, and he was great. And it's I mean, I'm biased, but I thought it was a great interview from his point of view, Dan, and he's a really interesting character. So make sure you check that out on our YouTube channel, because it was one of the most enjoyable couple of hours that I've ever spent.
Yeah, and me and you barely spoke in it, to be fair.
Yeah,
it's all him. Just some great tales, really interesting tales from him.
Always the best if you and I aren't speaking too much.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, we will draw to a close. But first of all, we need to give away a little bit more of the Luke Roper Dapper Villains range. Every week on the Luke Live Lounge, we're giving away one item of clothing from the Luke Dapper Villain range, which you can find on luke1977.com. And if you don't win and you want to buy some of the Dapper Villain range, then 30% of proceeds go to the Birmingham University Hospitals Trust. You can see the different hospitals that affects on the bottom of your screen there. So it's really worth it. And this week we are giving away the Glover AVFC Polo. So it comes in the black with the claret arms, like you can see, or you can get it in the white with the claret arms as well. Got the lion on the breast. Really nice bit of kit. So we are going to launch another Instagram competition. So if you want to be in with a chance of winning that, all you need to do is follow Luke, follow us, and comment on that Instagram post. It will go live straight after this. And last week we gave away the nickel, which is a lovely claret polo tee, and we picked a winner earlier from our Twitter entries. Simon O'Regan was the winner this week, so congratulations to you, Simon. Make sure you send in your details, your sizing and your address and all that kind of stuff to the Villa Views DMs, and we'll make sure that we get that to you, no problem. Yeah, I think that's it, Dan. I think we're about there, unless there's anything else you want to sign off in a Villa related way.
I was just hoping that we could get George Burley on next week's show.
I hope so.
See if you can make that happen.
What about George Burley?
The one we all want to hear from.
George Burley and my Renault Scenic. What a trip that would be.
Yeah. Potential for a good video there, Tom. I think there's definitely something to work with.
I'm not sure.
But nah, I've got nothing else. So yeah, it's been a good show. We've enjoyed it, had a laugh.
Yeah, absolutely. So final thing from me, if you do want to use our discount code on luke1977.com, it's TVV20, 20% off almost everything. The only thing that doesn't include is the Dapper Villain range. So yeah, if you want to use that, please go ahead. Make sure you subscribe to The Villa View on Instagram, The Villa View _ on Twitter, and hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Now, we'll be back on Thursday night for a post-match pint in association with Purity. So the content keeps on coming. Until then, let's remain positive. Hopefully we'll still be positive on Thursday night. But up the Villa.
Up the Villa.